world, and welcome to the all-new OH.Report Podcast, the world's first pod that combines all your favorite flavors from North Central Ohio sports. We add a scoop of pop culture, we're going to sprinkle on some of the biggest storylines from around the world, and top it all off with a cherry full of shenanigans. I'm Brian Skoronsky, your hostess with the mostest, joined by a crew that kind of looks like they mostly eat hostess for their meals. That's right, I'm talking about Mr. JV Legend in the digital flesh. Let's meet Travis, Big League Berardi, shall we? Take a look at this guy. Hello, raise the roof. We also have Big Chungus himself, Storm Blunchley. Ladies, try not to drool all over yourself. And finally, the hungry hot dog Garrett Parlett. Yes, there he is. Letting you know that he's holding it down. So again, ladies, keep it together. It's going to be a long show. Let's go ahead and begin by putting a bow on spring sports season, and we're going to gift out a few awards to some awesome athletes who deserve some much-deserved recognition, beginning with some state champions for athletes, homegrown right here in our own backyard in track that are forever going to be remembered in the Buckeye State. So let's begin with Donovan Duncan. We didn't get a chance to cover the state track championship, but a kid from St. Peter's actually won the 110 hurdles, and he did it in SpongeBob socks. That was my favorite part of the entire story. So I want to just salute him with a little aye, Captain, and want to find out what are some of your guys' favorite athlete fashion trends that you've seen throughout your lives. Travis, we'll let you begin.
Oh, I'm not the one that really does the fashion stuff, but, every time you see somebody like LeBron James or, some of the big guys, Kyrie Irving, go up to the table during the NBA Finals, it's kind of, Russell Westbrook, even when he was with OKC, coming up with those hats and everything, it's something to look for.
All right, what about you, G-Man? What impresses you from the sports landscape of fashion?
See, I'm not sure how big of a fan I am of all the exotic wear that Russell Westbrook wears. I like just a clean suit, a clean, slim fit suit with the tie, three-piece suit. I think it looks the best, and it shows up and gets the job done.
Storm?
I thought we were going to talk about on the court, off the court. I do actually like the more exotic things, but, on the court, of course, I don't know how much of a fashion thing is or a safety thing, but the Rip Hamilton mask, we saw a couple other guys wear it, but I believe Rip Hamilton coined it. That's probably my favorite, most savage, just like how G-Man's got the face mask like that. When you're wearing that, you're taking your game to the next level.
Yeah, you mean business. And I'm with G-Man. I kind of just like the suits. When I was growing up, Michael Jordan always wore a suit to every single one of his games, and I feel like his career turned out okay. So I thought that was pretty poppin'. The most transformative athlete that I can remember from my childhood, though, was actually the exact opposite, who came around kind of right in the middle of the Michael Jordan era, and that would be Allen Iverson, where he was all street. He would show up with the big chains. He had the tattoos. He had on the white tee. That was the first time that we ever seen anything like them. So I kind of like the best of both worlds. Cam Newton's one that I just can't get behind. Like, what are some of those hats? Like, I get that it gets the clicks on the Instagram and the Twitter and the people are talking, but man, he can't actually think he looks good, right? There's no way. No. Okay.
No way.
All right. Did any of you guys compete in track during your glory years? And if so, has anyone ever tried to do a hurdle? Go ahead, Big League.
I ran distance. Believe it or not, the way I look now, I ran the 2 mile, the mile, and the 4x800 meter relay. Yeah, you're funny. Those cheeks have always been there. Just lay off the cheeks, dude. But I actually tried running hurdles a couple of times, and both times almost fell flat on my face. So yeah, it's hard. You have to get it's not getting the first leg over, but it's that trail leg, because you always get that caught. If you don't pull it up far enough, you get that caught and you're going to go right on your face.
Yeah. I'm glad that you actually perfectly segued that. I'll go ahead and tell my story and why this came to mind, because I think it was about 8 years ago. I really wanted to impress this neighbor kid at the park by hurdling a chain that is linked between a couple of cones that they have. Anybody that, if you've gone through South Park, they have a chain there so the cars can't drive through, but you still yourself, you can go walk around, or if you want to be a stud and try to hurdle it, you can certainly try that. Well, I did, and in fact, my trail leg got caught, and pretty sure that I got slungshot onto the ground, and I just haven't been the same since. My left wrists and my ego have never fully recovered since that day. Pretty sure that I broke both of those, so now on cold nights, my wrist really hurts and aches, and I haven't been able to look neighbor Bryce in the eyes with the same confidence since. So that was my one hurdle story. I've never tried one since. I remember I did a story on Elise Wade a couple of years ago from St. Peter's that went to state for track, and I believe won 2 or 3 gold medals. And I tried to get over one time. Nah, baby. That trail leg just ain't getting up like it used to. And apparently for me, it never got up. How about a shout out, though, to Crestview's Ross Kuhn, who was also crowned a state champion in the D3 800 meter. And G-Man Storm, you went to school with this guy. He was a 3-sport stud. But did you have any idea that he was this darn fast? I didn't.
I mean, no, not. I mean, it's not hard to believe. The dude's a manimal. I mean, he is just insane. Literally just a freak of nature, pretty much. Football, swimming, and apparently track. I mean, he can do it all. It's kind of crazy how great of an athlete he is.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really see him track being his best sport. I thought, obviously, he's a really good swimmer, and he played wide receiver when I was a senior in high school and then transitioned into quarterback and led the Cougars to 2 straight playoff appearances. So, obviously, the stud can get it done, and now he's a state champion in track, so shout out to him.
And Ross ran the 800 meters in less than 2 minutes, 1:53 to be exact. Storm, I've got a challenge for you right here and now. Do you believe that you can go up to your kitchen and make a sandwich and come back in less than 1 minute and 53 seconds? All we're looking for are 2 pieces of bread, some meat, and some cheese.
Do I think I can do it? Probably, yeah.
Go Storm. Go Storm.
Well, he has
You're on the clock starting now.
Go.
And here he goes. All right, so while Storm's gone, we'll keep this documented. I'm sure he's going to eat the sandwich too, so he's going to probably be off mic here for several minutes, guys. Finally, I think we got to give it up to Allison Johnson. I saw that the Mount Gilead senior, she was basically an all-star. She qualified in state in 4 events. She won not 1, not 2, but 3 gold medals. She had to climb up to the top of the podium that many times. Garrett, I imagine you'd be tired just climbing up to the top of those steps to get those medals, right? Forget the races.
Yeah, I've never tried any kind of organized running for fun. That is not for me. So, I mean, shout out to all these track stars because I don't know how they wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait for practice because I can't wait to go run. Not my flavor, not my style.
I think she actually broke a state record also in either the mile or the 2 mile, which is something for how many events that she ran that day. I mean, running a 4x8, a mile, and a 2 mile in one day it's tough as it is. You got to conserve yourself a couple times. Yeah, I ran the mile and 2 mile. G, can you do it? No, you can't. So just lay off, bud.
We did see my dude in the gauntlet. You know, I jumped in there at the end to help out him and Storm, and we did take down the Lady Rams. We're taking that to the grave. That was a dub.
Hey,
he's got
it! Just 1 minute and 24 seconds. Storm Blunchley faster than Ross Kuhn all day long when it comes to sandwich making. So the real state champion, the real MVP, Storm Blunchley. What do you have to say for yourself, sir?
Well, it ain't much, but it's honest work. That's about all I can say.
Hey, honest work, and for your labor, if you want, you can go ahead and enjoy a couple of bites of the sandwich, and we'll just keep carrying the show. Enjoy your lunch. All right. So lots of all Ohioans from spring sports that reside right here in this part of the state. Do you guys have any shout-outs that you would like to deliver to anybody that really impressed you? We covered, of course, a ton of baseball and softball. Travis, anybody that you just want to give some love to real quick before we end all the conversation on spring sports?
Yeah, give Isaac Brooks some love. He the junior 3rd place finish in I believe the 110 hurdles, got an All-Ohioan. And D1. And then our multiple sport athlete from Madison, I can't believe her name's slipping my mind right now, but scored both goals in the state championship game. Fast track runner. Anybody help me here with the name? Anybody? Anybody? I know.
Anybody?
No.
You're not going to give a shout out to Carrie Eckenweiler first?
Well, Eckenweiler
no love for
too,
the senior?
I was going to go.
Storm finishes.
I can't remember her name either. I was sitting here trying to stall.
Nevaeh Lewis?
Yes,
Nevaeh Lewis.
Yes, Nevaeh. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, Nevaeh Lewis.
Forgive us, Nevaeh. She's just too fast. She just runs right through our mind and then out the other side. It's the only thing I can think of.
Even our producer Adam knew it. He typed it out on our spreadsheet.
What is going on?
I don't know. Seeing black screens and Storm chugging down some things, and I know that he just had his 21st birthday, so who knows how loose he's getting on today's show. It is a Monday after all. G-Man's got the giggles. We're off to a great start here on the OH podcast, guys. Yeah, I think maybe for me, a shout-out. Let's stick with those Lady Rams. I just thought the softball squad had such a fun team to cover and to follow. I had an incredible time in the dugout. I might have had even more fun than they did with all their chants and stuff. They lost to a team that went on to wipe out the competition. Keystone was unbelievable that they won the state title. So, big shout-out to them. Mohawk, too. I think they've won 18 or 19 consecutive sectional championships. So those two teams for softball were awesome. And then how about the Colonel Crawford home run twins and the Northern 10 leaders, Studer along with Hamilton, each led the league and were some of the top performers in the entire state for Dinger. So those would be my final shout outs to spring sports. Storm, after you got to eat your little lunch there, was there anything that you would like to say or any shout outs for any athletes?
Just mainly Ross. It's a kid I went to high school with. He's a cool kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I believe he's going to college for swimming, so it's really cool that he was able to go and compete and even win a state championship. And for a smaller school like Crestview, it's just really cool. So a big shout out to him.
Cool. All right. Well, that's going to be our bow. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to move that on. And actually, you know what? I have a shout out that I would like to issue to our very own resident all-star Garrett G-Man Parlett. He went toe-to-toe with a D1 football commit, Avion Gross of Mansfield Senior, and I think he held his own in a best hands contest. The video is available right now on all of our social media platforms, so if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. G, you got to tell me though the truth. Did you surprise yourself taking Gross to overtime in that competition?
All right, so I'm gonna be honest. When we first got there, it was supposed to be just 10 routes. I wasn't really worried, but then we got into the one-on-ones, and that's where I really got nervous because my defense, man, my footwork is not like it used to be. And I actually feel like I played better on defense than I did on offense. I feel like Gross kind of let me go a little bit when he was on defense, but when he was on offense, I rewatched the video. He was making hard cuts, man. He seemed like he was trying, but we went to overtime. And if Owens would have had the better pass, man, I would have won that. Back pylon, I'm telling you, would have got the toes in, it would have been a touchdown, and I would have been the winner. So I'm excited for some more.
Yeah, I think maybe J.O. kind of bailed out his boy on that one. Underthrew the pass just a little bit. Didn't want Avion's confidence to take that big hit where big number 70 comes in and kind of steals the show there on his home turf. So, yeah, I think there might have been a little bit of some whatever cronyism or whatever that word is there where he was trying to just make sure that his boy won it. But, yeah, I was super impressed with what we saw from you, G-Man. Storm, you were there too. Did you think that your boy was going to show out as well as he did?
I mean, I knew that G-Man wasn't confident, but I was confident 100%. Dude, this guy's got crazy hands. It's like whatever the MLB players, I think it's called spider tack, that's what he's got all over his hands, bro. Anything in his direction, he catches. It's crazy.
Okay. So we're going to have lots of these competitions going throughout the summer, and I know that we're going to all-star football practice over the next couple of days. So I would actually like to issue my own challenge, and I'm going to call out Big League Berardi right now. I think you and I both need to go under center either tomorrow or the next day, and let's see who can complete the most passes thrown to these all-star wide receivers. What do you think?
I'm in for that. I want to issue a challenge to both kickers from this All-Star Challenge. I want to go against both of them and see if I can outkick them.
All right, so there it is, All-Stars. We're coming for you. We're going to see you at practice over the next couple of days, so make sure that you get your game up. And actually, since we're going into Lucas territory, and you know that Coach Spittler, he is all about the offensive line in the trenches, I think maybe we should get G-Baby back in his normal spot, maybe put him at tackle, have Storm next to him at guard, and see if they can block some of these All-Star DNs.
Let's go.
Let's go. So bring your cleats and make sure that you bring your dignity at least to the field. You may not leave with it after the end of the day. All of us. We'll see.
Brian, speaking of dignity, can we discuss the the onslaught of just victories that you and I had against these two in our Memorial Day games, a little dunk ball, little touch football, balloon toss.
Do continue.
I believe we went undefeated, right?
Oh, I don't remember any L's in my loss column that day. So,
yeah,
undefeated sounded pretty good.
Come on, there was no backboard. I was playing in bands. I mean, there's got to be some leeway given. I can't do it all,
G? You can't. G?
Dude, I mean, I'm telling you, we get to my grandma's house, it's a wrap. Ask Evan Hamilton. I played Evan Hamilton this week. We were down 3-0. We came back to win the series 4-3. I'm telling you.
All right, so it looks like we got to go to G-Man's G-Ma's house, and we'll play for real with a real backboard. Maybe bring some shoes with some laces this go around, Storm, and we'll see what happens.
All right. I mean, I didn't know we were playing. I would have brought my KDs, but I didn't know that we were playing. So next time for sure.
All right, at least for now, me and Travis undisputed OH.Report champions. But let's move on. Circle it back all to Mansfield Senior and Avion Gross. They're supposed to be the most complete team that we're going to have in North Central Ohio this year. Last season, I think that we would all agree that team was the Shelby Whippets. They were undefeated heading into that regional final game where, they kind of got blistered, but it was by the eventual state champions. And Storm, I understand that you've been debating a little bit whether the Whippets can duplicate the same success from last season. What are your way too early thoughts now that we're just, a week into the summer practices? What do you think about Shelby and their chances of being just as good, if not better, as they were last year?
It's kind of hard to say, like you said, way too early, but they did graduate some key offensive linemen. They graduated a lot of good skill guys as well. And they, of course, graduated Owen Fisher, which would be a big loss to any team regardless. But, Marshall Shepard stepping into his senior season. They got a couple more skilled guys stepping up. A lot of younger guys are going to need to step up this season. And I got faith in my boy Rob Mahaney out there at Shelby to they might not be as good or as deadly as they were last year, but I definitely don't see them, floundering at the bottom of the conference.
MOAC champions again, Travis? Would that be your prediction for the Whippets?
They have the pieces. I think they have the pieces to do that, but just with the COVID season that we just had, it's hard to tell with everybody else. I know Ontario's losing pieces. Clear Fork, they're losing Brady Tedrow and a couple pieces, but just going back to Shelby, just the tradition they have not only at the high school level but at the middle school level as well. That they just keep producing big players. Like when Eric Will was at the school coaching, I think he really started something not only with the high schoolers, but with the middle schoolers on just getting ready to get to that next level. And it's turning out to be well, because how many state semifinal appearances, regional championship appearances has this team made in the last 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good point, that it kind of all starts with that feeder system. And, I got to give a shout out to my boy Grayson Murray. He's going to be coaching the 7th grade football team this next year. They went undefeated a season ago. I imagine they're going to take a big step back this year with Murray at the helm, but we'll find out. At the varsity level, like Storm was saying, they still have that explosive combination, Marshall Shepard, Blake Bowman returning, who were basically unstoppable last year. But Garrett, you think you have what it takes to silence them, flying high off of that big confidence, that win over Avion, or, at least a tie at the OT. So go ahead. Let the people in Whippet country know how you're feeling about that tandem.
Man, they're pretty deadly. I've seen them a lot of times. I was at a lot of their games last year, and they blew really everyone out of the water. Every game I was at, it really wasn't a competition until they got to Van Wert, and they obviously got destroyed in that game, but they were the state champions. So, you can really put that one on the back burner. That was – I wouldn't say a good loss, but you can live with it. And moving on, I'm excited to face Blaine. It's a different competition. He's got a different skill set than Avion. I believe he's a better wide receiver than Avion is in his fashion, but Avion Gross is a better defender. So it's going to be a different realm, and I'm kind of excited for it. So I want to call him out again. Blaine, if you see this man, get a hold of me, and let's get this set up. I'm ready to go.
I like it. And I think that we should have Marshall Shepard throwing the balls. That way we know there's no funny stuff like J.O. maybe trying to pull over for the TY. That way we know, it's a skilled quarterback out there tossing up those passes. So
hold up
looks like
now.
Travis got something on the tip of his tongue.
Gee, I think you need Storm to be your hype man. As we go back, remember tournament talk, Storm really got into these players to the point where even Western Reserve parents after their game were getting on him. You need Storm to be your hype man to call these people out. Storm, if you can right now, I need you to call out Blaine Bowman for G.
Blaine Bowman, you're scared! Come on, Jay wants you! He wants to take you on, bro! Don't be scared! You got him! That's all I got.
I think you almost killed your microphone there, too. You're strangling the thing. I like it.
All right. Well, last football season regionals were played at the top seed home sites, like we saw at Shelby, got played at home. I bet they kind of wish that they didn't have to do that, what they did in front of their home fans. But obviously it was, at least on paper, a competitive advantage for the home school. But in a lot of instances, regionals can be really far from home, especially for some of the local teams here. What did you discover about regional sites and its impact on North Central Ohio teams? Travis, I know this is a topic that you wanted to bring up.
Well, as I was taking my 2.5-hour trip to Cincinnati to cover a regional baseball tournament, shout out to Highland. Great season for them. The first time in 15 years going to a regional. As they kept saying, there were a bunch of no-names doing a lot of good things, and congratulations to them. But I made a 2.5-hour trip. Storm made about a 2.5-hour trip to Patrick Henry. What was it? G-Man went down to Lancaster, or you did ski. It's just everybody is taking these huge trips. And even in girls basketball, the Mansfield Senior Regional, great for us, but for a team like Napoleon, they had to make a 2-hour trip down here. Why can't these 4 quadrants, I know the state's broken up into 4, corners. Why can't you just put the regional in the middle of that? Why does it have to be in Cincinnati? Why does it have to be in Elida for Shelby basketball? Why does it have to be all the way up in Bowling Green for baseball? Why can't you find a place? Now, for Madison, for softball, Tiffin, that's perfect. That's right in the middle of the region. For other teams, if you go maybe Hillsdale, they're going to the Akron area. Hey, that's great. Why can't it be like that everywhere? Why can't the OHSAA pick a good site somewhere in one of those areas? Because there are plenty of good baseball fields, softball fields, good basketball complexes where everybody can be about the same distance. That's the problem I have with it. Why do we have teams driving 2.5 hours just to go to a regional?
When they play state about an hour away from home, or at least used to. I had a really great conversation with former OHSAA Executive Director Jerry Snodgrass about this. We had a chance to talk in Toledo where a team from Mansfield was playing in a regional. And mind you, again, that's well over 2 hours away. And I just asked him, I said, Jerry, the team that they're playing is also traveling west to get here. Why are both teams traveling west to get here? Why can't we put it at a neutral location for both teams, a la football, who I think is the only sport who gets it right? And if he got to fulfill, I think, more time under the helm, that was a future plan of his, I think, was to have all venues eventually be based on who was actually competing and not have sites already set in place. Though I do understand that it's tough sometimes to have the right infrastructure to be able to host some of these games, but the travel does suck. The one that sticks out in my brain that I will never, ever forget is when Mansfield Senior had to travel to Macedonia and play a team that was basically from Macedonia for a regional, in a state semifinal game. That was blasphemy. That was horrible on the OHSAA part. But like Shoki Bradley said, they play him on the moon, and they'd still beat him. One of my favorite quotes of all time. Should have won the state championship that year, but I digress. I do think OHSAA needs to take a look at this and address it and figure out what is the best method moving forward. Because you're right, some of these sites, there should never be games in Toledo where part of your region is the Mansfield area.
What about the Madison Lady Rams soccer? They had to go play Rocky River up in Cleveland, close to Rocky River. None of their games, even though they were the number 1 team in the state, they still traveled an hour and 45 minutes.
They were on the bottom half of the bracket that they put out.
There's plenty of good soccer pitches between Mansfield and all the way up in Rocky River. Why did it have to be all the way up there? Taylor Huff took that to heart and ripped one of the best 50-yard goals you ever see and made a SportsCenter top play. She was mad about it. They were all mad about it. Madison didn't even get any home field advantage despite being the top team in the state. all divisions. I'm not even going to say Division II. They were the best team in the state, and they still got disrespected and had to travel every game. But, shout out to the fans, shout out to everybody else. They still made the trip. They got business done, and they're state champions. And where are they now? In Europe for their little trip. I know we got all these pictures of them. They're still celebrating, right?
I think they're going to be on the Tonight Show soon. Look for that one coming out. But yeah, it seems like blood is boiling a little bit over this topic. So let's go ahead. Let's take a break. Let's settle some things down. I'll take some of my heart medication. And when we come back, we'll talk about some new topics concerning pop culture and then also some professional sports. So keep it locked in right here on the OH.Report Podcast. Welcome back to the OH.Report Podcast, where we are picking up with some championship talk here, and you'll have to excuse the banging and clanging. Got all my youth participation medals on right now, but they may or may not be my kids. Anyways, like about a million others, I too watched the pay-per-view fight between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather earlier this month, and I was actually impressed that a guy who makes his bones making YouTube vids lasted the full 8 rounds with a dude who has an unblemished 50-0 professional record in the boxing ring. It also, though, makes me cringe thinking about the fact that those two guys profited about $50 million for the event, which it seems these Paul brothers, which are from the state of Ohio, so shout out to them for being, OH guys too. But they're just going to keep doing this over and over until the well runs dry. And evidently, they both have millions of online subscribers, and guys are going to keep buying these, dare I say, lame events. So my question to the crew is, are you not entertained like I wasn't by this event? And do you see this trend continuing where dudes that are famous on YouTube just keep calling out athletes and they keep doing it because there's just too much money involved? G-Man, fill me in. What do you think? What's the future here? Is this going to keep happening over and over?
I mean, yeah, there's people still buying the pay-per-views. I mean, love it or hate it. I mean, shout out to them. I mean, it's legal bank robbery. I mean, they're just going in, they're fighting, and they're making $30 million like minimum. I mean, why wouldn't you want to do that regardless? Go in there, take a punch, get knocked out, and you walk out with a bag. So, I mean, I'm not a fan of it because I feel like it takes away from just boxing in general and kind of dumbs the sport down. But, I mean, if I was in their shoes, I don't know if I would say no to it either.
It'd be tough. And Storm, I know that you watch this too. Tell me this. Were you actually entertained by the event itself, though? I mean, forget the fact that they're doing it because they're getting paid out big bankrolls. When you watch it, do you actually feel enjoyment?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch it. I couldn't. I would have rather have flushed my $50 down the toilet than give money to those scammers, because that's what it is. And the worst part about it, boxing is dead. Boxing will never be the same ever again. It is dead. Floyd Mayweather should be ashamed of himself. He should be ashamed. An unblemished record in boxing, and he goes out there and fights some bona fide scrub who's never even fought a real fighter. I'm saying now, he's never fought a real fighter until then, but that wasn't even a real fight. If you take a look back at the replay, Floyd Mayweather throws one punch and has to hold the Paul brother up. It's an embarrassment, bro. It is an embarrassment to boxing. I can't imagine how hard or how embarrassed I would be to be a diehard boxing fan right now. I'm glad that I'm a casual viewer of boxing, because if I was a diehard fan, I'd be on my knees rolling in my grave right now. I would be embarrassed because what those two just did, they single-handedly killed the sport of boxing.
Wow. Big words right there. And actually, I would consider myself to be a pretty big boxing fan. I get a lot of the big pay-per-views, and I think the boxing's actually not in a horrible place right now. It's just that these new side acts that are starting to pop up are a little bit concerning for me. But it doesn't mean that they can't get better down the road. I just think that what we've seen so far hasn't been great. So my question for you guys then, which non-athlete would you actually pay big bucks to see fight in a ring or a cage? Big league, anybody stand out to you that you want to see jump in there and see what they're really made of?
Wow, you put me on the spot for this one. Any non-athlete? I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty decorated myself. You could maybe throw me in that equation. Bling, bling.
I want to see you go against Paul. I think you can knock him out. What's going on? This last boxing fight, whatever it was, the spectacle, whatever. First, it's Floyd money, Mayweather money. It's a money grab for him. Secondly,
What he does.
no scoring, no judges. Only way to win is by TKO. And as Storm gratefully pointed out, one punch, Paul falls over right in the arms of Mayweather. But Mayweather, we got to finish this. So he holds him up till he comes to and then backs off. And then Jake Paul flails a little bit more, gets a couple little lucky hits. I saw the highlights. I will not pay for stuff like that. Let's see Jake Paul.
He was tired after
UFC
one
ring.
round.
Let's see Jake Paul go in a UFC ring against Stipe. Stipe ain't going to put up for that stuff.
Yeah, I think that needs to be like the next move is instead of going into a boxing ring where you're a little bit more protected, let's see these guys go full
They'll never do
MMA,
it.
and then there's way more that can happen.
They'll never do it.
Exactly.
It wouldn't even matter. No one would do it. And if they did, they would just hug. I guarantee this is how any UFC fight with any celebrity would go. They would just go to the ground, and it would end in the clinch. Because no one wants to fight. Everyone just wants their money. And, I mean, I can't blame them, but it's just an embarrassment. And I hope it doesn't trickle over to other sports, like UFC, because it would just be boring. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm a loss for words, man. It's an embarrassment.
Well, is there anybody that could jump into the cage and make you feel a little bit better about it, Storm? Is there somebody that you would actually pay to see fight that's a non-athlete?
I don't think so, because when I pay for a pay-per-view fight, I want to see like two of the best going at it. I don't want to see like 0-1 no name Joe or whatever go against. Yeah, for real. I don't want to pay for something that I know isn't going to be like not entertaining. And the worst part about it is they just like grab you by the throat. Like you either watch it or you're out of the current events for the next couple of days. That's the worst part about it too. Is pretty much you have to pay for it. And it's just wild, bro. It's crazy.
Well, I've been hearing amazing stories, jokes, and facts my whole life about a guy who I think is probably in his 70s now. But one, Chuck Norris, I would love to see what he's actually made of.
Yes.
I heard that his tears can actually cure COVID, but he's just never cried before. Not sure if you guys knew that or not. That's a Chuck Norris fact. All right. Speaking of fights, guys, let's move on. Nikola Jokic last night kicked out of the Nuggets game, and basically the entire series went on its head there. Not that Denver was going to dig themselves out of their 0-3 hole, and now they're completely out of the playoffs. But Travis, give me your opinion. Did you think that he deserved to get kicked out with the flagrant 2 for what he did last night?
No, that was the dumbest foul call. That's another showing of a ref trying to get into the limelight. He did get frustrated. He did swipe for the ball. He was going for the ball, but they said because he pulled back and swiped and the guy's face got in the way a little bit, he hit him in the top of the nose. Give me a break. He was off to the side. He got the ball afterwards, and they call a flagrant 2. Okay, flagrant 1, that's fine. It was a little too much there, but you're going to call that on the MVP in an elimination game where they're battling? Brian, my question to you here, would they do that? Would they make that call on one LeBron James? I don't think so.
No, they're not kicking LeBron out of the entire game and giving him a flagrant 2 for that. I think there's actually a lot of players that they would have a little bit more respect for. I don't know why the Joker isn't on that same level now that he proved that he's an MVP caliber. And typically, the dude keeps his mouth shut. Maybe they didn't like that he gave the stare down afterwards and he didn't have anything clever to say. He just kind of, looked at the Suns and trucked over there. I think maybe that rubbed the officials the wrong way. Like, bro, if you're going to be hard, like, do it and do it for real. Maybe a little shove or something. I don't know. I would agree, though. That definitely was not a flagrant 2. I understand that by the letter of the law, if you hit somebody in the head or neck area, that it's an ejectable foul. But I would object to that. And I know that's the only NBA that Storm and G-Man know. Like back in the 80s and 90s, my goodness gracious, like that wouldn't have even been a common foul.
It wouldn't even be called.
It would have just know about it.
buck
the
up.
the Motor City Bad Boys are like my favorite team in NBA history. And what I saw last night was soft, man. The MVP has 22 points, and then he gets ejected while the Nuggets are making a comeback to a bum who only played 20 minutes, had 7 points. You're gonna eject him over that? Oh, and as soon as Jokic gets ejected, Cameron Payne shoots up and he's fine.
Yeah,
he's been taking some acting classes. You can tell, because that was ridiculous.
I've taken a punch to the face much harder than that and not fallen over and cried like a baby like he did. It was a whole act. Yes,
that was a bad look for the refs, man. Especially in a game like that.
Choking somebody and gets a flagrant one. What the?
It's not the same league as it was even 5 years ago.
There were harder fouls in our game on Memorial Day playing dunk ball.
The worst part about it, too, is there was nothing leading up to that. And nothing was escalating. They weren't doing it to stop things from escalating. It was that one play, and it was done. But for some reason, they kicked out the MVP. When the Nuggets had momentum, they were making a comeback. They had a pretty good shot to win that game. And, I mean, I like the Nuggets, and I like the Suns, both of them. But after that, I turned it off because I knew it was over. I think everyone knew it was over. You think Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon are going to go and get it? They won't.
Yeah. Going into the series, I wanted the Suns to win. Get Chris Paul his championship. Javon Carter from WVU, he's on the team, great defender. A bunch of good young players that have a solid shot of winning after beating the Lakers. I'm all for rooting for them. But after that foul, I wanted Denver to win that game. That's how ticked off that made me, because the referees have to, they have to make the headlines. It seems like every day you see something where a referee makes a call or tries to get into the game. You're a ref. You're supposed to stay out of the limelight. You're supposed to stay out of the spotlight. Just call the dang game.
All right, let's talk about a different series now, where Nets fans saw their team lose to Milwaukee for the second straight time yesterday, and they could be without the services of former Cavs All-Star guard Kyrie Irving, who went down with a twisted ankle last night. James Harden, he's still in street clothes. So, Storm, this is a topic that you wanted to discuss. Do you think the Nets are cooked without Kyrie?
Well, let's take a little flashback to when I believe it was the first game in Milwaukee, and a bonehead by the name of Bruce Brown, used to be a Piston, decided to play a little bit of hero ball, had a couple floaters in the first half, thought he was actually KD, must have knocked his head in the locker room or something, misses the game winner. Then, of course, Drew Holiday comes down. You all know the story. He spins, he makes a layup, and the Bucks go on to win it. If the Nets win that game, I say they're fine without Kyrie. It's 2-2 now. It's a scary seat to be in. You have two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and one-time Defensive Player of the Year Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's a scary time if you're a Nets fan, especially if Kyrie's out for that next game. If they go up 3-2, and even if Kyrie comes back after that, it's still kind of scary, especially with how well Chris Middleton has been playing. He did not play well in the first round, but he is starting to finally look like himself. And Giannis doing Giannis things, 38 minutes with 34 points and 12 rebounds. I mean, he's doing his thing. And this is going to be a test. This is going to be the first real test, I feel like, for Kevin Durant. I mean, he did have 28 last night, but go out and prove us wrong. Everyone thinks your rings don't count. Let's see if they will. Let's see if you can get it done without, 5 different All-Stars on your team. So it's going to be a fun series to watch, and it was one that I thought was going to be a 4-0 net sweep, but I mean, look at it now. It's tied 2-2 heading back to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I watched the second half of that game last night, and KD was able to take over in the third quarter, and then the Bucks, they got smart, and they doubled him because nobody outside of Kevin Durant on that team can go get their own shot. Joe Harris is a complete non-factor if he doesn't have the guys that can penetrate and kick out for wide open looks. So I think the Nets are in a world of hurt. If they can't get James back and or Kyrie, and who knows how healthy he's going to be, Cavs fan, we know how hobbled he tended to be at the end of playoff runs. Yeah, man, I think this is a great opportunity, though, for Kevin Durant, like you just said. I'm one of those. I look at his championships and I go, cool, man, cool. You played with 5 other All-Stars. Like, congratulations. You were the best player on the team, but how hard is it to go out there and play on an All-Star team against some normal squads? So if he can actually put the team on his back and lead them at least into the conference finals and then get the guys back, I think that would be pretty cool to see, to be perfectly honest. I've been a fan of Kevin Durant. I just kind of, I'm a little snarky towards his rings. That's all.
I agree, and I mean, the only other player to have more than 10 points was Kyrie Irving. I mean, he only played 17 minutes, but like you said, you look at guys like Joe Harris, 38 minutes and only 8 points. Blake Griffin, who I have a personal vendetta against, only 8 points. Bruce Brown, only with 7. Jeff Green played 27 minutes, only 8 points. I mean, Kevin Durant's either going to have to carry a big old backpack or someone else is going to have to step up for the Nets.
Well, NBA playoff teams, even if they have some brutal injuries, still really good teams. I think we all can acknowledge that. But what about the bottom feeders in the NBA, a league known for having teams that will tank in an effort to get those high draft picks? Are those teams beatable by the top college teams? G-Man, you floated me this question. What are your thoughts on this topic? Can a national championship level college basketball team actually beat a trash NBA team?
Yeah, when I asked you this question, what I had in mind was the 2020 Alabama team against either the 0-17 Lions or the 0-17 Browns, and I really don't think it would be a contest. I think the Browns or the Lions, either of those squads, would absolutely dominate the Alabama team. I don't think a college team can beat a pro team, even at its highest peak and their lowest. It's just, I think the competition gap is so far more than what we think it is. I mean, first round picks come in the NFL and they still struggle. It takes them a few years to get going. You got to be a bona fide superstar to just come in and just lock in and go. But I don't see it happening as a college team being able to beat a pro team.
Well, you was talking about football, and I agree. I don't think there will ever be a really good college football team that can compete with a professional NFL team just because the guys are just too big. Like, they're too talented. They put in too much time and effort. What about the NBA, though? Do you think that a good college team can sneak up and take down an NBA team? Because sometimes they will put together a roster that's legitimately intended to lose games, a la, look at the Cavs from about 2 years ago. Look at what trusting the process looked like in Philadelphia for all those years.
That one's a little bit more tough. I mean, I remember when Kentucky had Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns. They might be able to beat the Cavs. I mean, that might be more of a toss-up than you think it is. Yeah, I think they went undefeated in the regular season.
Lost in the Final Four.
Yeah, but I mean, even last year, Gonzaga, they went all the way to the championship. They might be able to hang in there with the Cavs. I don't know if they'll be able to beat them though. I don't know. I think the coaching it's too much in the NBA. Even just any professional level, the coaching matters a lot more, I think. It's more iso ball, I feel, in college. It's just swing the ball around, shoot threes. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. That one's more of a toss-up. I was thinking more NFL, college football type. I don't think that's a shot. I feel like basketball might be closer, but I still think there's definitely a gap.
There was one instance where it was women's basketball. The UConn women's team played Team USA, and Team USA needed a couple buckets in the last minute to beat them. That's the closest I've seen of a pro-style team going up against a college team.
All right, guys. Well, I think we kind of burned through all the topics that we had prepared for today, but yesterday, enjoying a casual little Sunday while I was out in my garden, I happened to be picking some strawberries, and I found this gem right here. Look at that, guys. It is one strawberry formed into 4. It's like a 4-leaf clover, only it's strawberries. Are you following me? So I'm going to hang on to this until it rots. I'm going to keep it right here in my pocket, and it's just my belief that it's going to bring me good luck. I'm a superstitious kind of guy, which got me thinking, what are some of your superstitions, especially back in your old playing days? What did you guys do that you really thought was going to bring you some good luck when you were on the court, the field, the diamond, wherever? Big League, start us off.
When I played varsity baseball in high school, I always, running out on and off the field, I never touched the foul line. You jumped over it, you went onto the field. I know there's a lot of players do that. They're superstitious. You don't touch the line as you go on and off, but that was the big superstitious thing I did.
I don't even step on the foul line when I walk onto the field to shoot video. So for some reason, that's what I do.
Yeah, you're right. I don't either. It's natural now.
G-Man? Oh, man, I don't know if I'm allowed to share this on the airwaves, but I don't want to name names, but back at my alumni, we had a few teammates that wouldn't wash their practice gear throughout the whole entire week up until game day. So the girl would, I mean, the smell would be so bad on game day. But I mean, it didn't work. We went 5-5, so maybe we just should have washed our clothes.
The Cougar Musk didn't put you over the top, huh?
No, I mean, there was Coach Majors, even at practices, they started smelling our gear before we went out there because it was so rancid that, I mean, you couldn't even practice. I remember going to the locker room and the smell, you could smell it when you were going to the field. It was so bad. I'm so happy I was never a part of that, but I don't want to name names because I'm sure Storm knows who it is, but
I know who it is, yeah.
All right, Storm, you got any superstitions that you put to use in life or back in the day in sports?
Well, I only played sports my freshman year, but I know when I'm watching, man, it works, dude. If you're sitting in a seat and your team isn't doing well, you got to change. You got to go sit somewhere else in the living room. You got to go grab a snack. You got to get something to drink. You got to change it because it's not working. And hey, most of the time it works. So I mean, just when I'm watching, it's got to be the right seat. You got to have your butt in the right cushion for the right night. It's not the same cushion. I've almost never had it be the same cushion on a night-to-night basis, but you just got to find it. And you know, it might take you a couple quarters to find it, but once you find it and your team starts clicking, you know, that's kind of my superstition.
All right, that's actually a good segue for me because I try to think about this. I'm not a super superstitious type of guy, but my senior year of basketball, me and my best friend Joe Pa, we also had to find the proper seat, the right throne before a game, and it had to be approximately an hour and a half before tip-off. And that throne would be to relieve ourselves, and we'd always sit side by side, and we'd talk about how much we were going to dominate for that few minutes that we were in there. So, you know, it kind of ties together with G's too, because there wasn't a great scent that was going on in there, but we were just trying to, you know, bring in all the good juju while also getting out all the negative energy. So we tried to find
you want to be cleared
there
out for those games. I understand that. You want to be
absolutely
nothing wrong with yourself.
And our pregame meals back in the early 2000s, it wasn't like they were now. We didn't have those fancy protein bars or anything. So we were just eating Sixlets and Skittles, as I recall, to get us all jazzed up for the game. And then that was our big pregame meal. So thank you guys all for joining us today on the first ever OH.Report podcast. We got a huge week coming up. We're going to be out at All-Star football practice. Like I mentioned, we're going to be taking on some of these All-Star football players in their own environment. We'll see what they're really made of. We'll see what we're really made of. And the football game, of course, this Friday night, we're going to have that live streams right here on the OH.Report, on our Facebook and our YouTube channels, and just lots of great stuff coming up this summer. We're going to do some cooking with some local athletes and some coaches. We're going to do some great conversations with some of the local area top athletes as well. So a lot to come here over the next few weeks. And I'm going to be going on the road here for the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to take you along for some of my journeys. Next Monday, I'll be able to take you guys through the mountains. And then the following Monday, I'll actually be on the podcast while doing a white water rafting trip. So we'll see if I can keep it all together and keep my phone in place. So lots of great things to come here on the OH.Report podcast. So want to thank you guys for joining us and sign out. That's enough for me. If you guys have anything else you'd like to say, go ahead. I'm just going to go be lucky with my berries.
Travis never ran track. That's cap. I'm saying it right now.
That is wrong.
Birthday
We're at that sandwich made.
You're all being lied to.
It's fake.